Journey to the West, an audio drama series.
Chapter 20, Part 2. The three went forward, and not even half a day passed before they came across a high mountain. It was quite a rugged place. SanZang rode his horse by the cliffside and had a good look by leaning on his stirrups. And indeed, tall and steep, deep and cracked, the peaks were high into the clouds. Behind the cliffs were caves and streams where wild beasts thrived. You would never know when something would run across your sight, for all the ridges and caves were interconnected. The green hills were dyed the color of an enormous piece of jade, as blue gauze veiled endless layers of mist. The master slowly held back his white horse, while Great Sage Sun paused his cloud and took a calmer pace, and Zhu Wuneng carried his load gradually forward. They were just staring at the mountain when suddenly a violent hurricane started. Frightened, SanZang said on the horse, "Wukong, the wind is rising." Xingzhe said, "What is so scary about wind? It's just natural wind you get from the four seasons. What is there to be afraid of?" SanZang explained, "This wind is quite treacherous. It's not like a natural wind at all." Xingzhe asked, "How is it different from natural wind?" SanZang answered, "Look at this wind. When it sweeps through the valleys, thousands of trees scream and shake. Willows are flailing upwards from their roots as petals flew alongside leaves. Boats are anchored, travelers lost, as animals flee from fallen plants. Violently puffing dust and soil, the wind stirred the waves in rivers and seas." Bajie went up and clutched Xingzhe, telling him, "Senior brother, this wind sure is wild. We had better find somewhere to shelter." Xingzhe laughed and said, "Aren't you being rather useless, brother? If some violent wind can make you go into hiding, what would you do if you came across a monster spirit up front?" Bajie answered, "Elder brother, haven't you heard of the saying, 'Avoid sex as you would an enemy, avoid wind as you would an arrow'? Going into hiding for a bit won't be such a bad idea." Xingzhe said, "Quit talking. Let me seize the wind and have a smell of it." Bajie laughed and said, "Senior brother is making baseless claims again. How do you even seize the wind to smell it? Even if you can seize it, it will just slip away." Xingzhe explained, "Brother, you have no idea. I possess a wind-seizing trick." Splendid Great Sage! He made way for the head of the wind to pass through, seizing only the tail of it for a smell. It had a bloody stench to it. So he said, "This is no good wind indeed. It doesn't smell of a tiger, but of a monster. There's bound to be something suspicious about it." He was barely finished when down the hill hopped out a ferocious striped tiger, waving its tail and claws. Terrified, SanZang could not keep himself on the saddle and fell off the white horse. Reclining by the roadside, his soul was barely with him any more. Bajie threw away the luggage, wielded his rake, and kept Xingzhe from moving forward, shouting, "Cursed beast! Where do you think you're going?" Chasing forward, he struck down right on its head. The tiger, on the other hand, stood upright and raised his left paw. Puncturing his eye socket, he pulled downward and, with a slip, stripped his entire skin off as he stood by the road. Look at what a hideous creature he was. Alas, that form of his was bloody and naked, with puffy hair like flames and bristled eyebrows. 4 steel-like fangs flashed the color of white. A pair of golden eyes shining bright. Roaring with all his might, shouting at the top of his voice, he said, slow down, I am no other than the vanguard of the front line under Great King Yellowwind. By the Great King's solemn orders, I am patrolling the mountains to find a few mortal men for a drinking snack. Where did you monks come from? How dare you use weapons to hurt me?" Bajie yelled, "You cursed beast be damned. You have no idea who I am. We are no mortal men just passing through the road, but disciples of royal younger brother SanZang from Great Tang in the land of the east. We are scripture seekers by imperial edict heading to the west to see Buddha. You had better move far out of our way and let us through. Don't even think about frightening my master, and we will spare your life. Should you go rogue like before, my rake will move with no mercy." The monster spirit had no interest in discussion as he swiftly moved closer. Throwing a fake move, he clawed right at 八戒's face. 八戒 quickly dodged and struck with his rake.
The monster had no weapons in hand, so he stooped and fled.
八戒 followed in close steps. The monster came to the foot of the hill and, from a messy pile of rocks, picked up 2 broad swords made of red copper. Wielding them up in a hurry, he turned around to face the battle. The pair came at each other in front of the hill,
charging and ramming with all their might.
On the other side, 行者 helped the Tang monk up and said, "Don't be scared, master. Just sit right down and let Elder Sun go give 八戒 a little help. Once we beat the monster, we'll be back on our way." Only then did SanZang sit up. Panicking, he kept the words of the Heart Sutra repeating in his mouth. We will speak no more of that. 行者 then took his iron rod and shouted, "Take him!" 八戒 was just heightening his spirits when the monster was fleeing in defeat. 行者 yelled, "Don't let him get away! We must catch up to him!"
Wielding their rake and rod, the pair rushed downhill.
Out of his depths, the monster played a trick which we coin the golden cicada sheds its skin, where by rolling on the ground, he returned to his original form of a ferocious tiger. 行者 and 八戒 would not let him go, so they caught up to the tiger, determined to uproot the enemy. The monster saw them approach, so he again punctured his eye socket and stripped his skin, leaving it flat on a tiger-shaped rock. His real body, on the other hand, transformed into a violent gust and returned to where he came. At the road junction, the master was still reciting the Heart Sutra when the monster took hold of him and snatched him away by mountain wind. Poor SanZang! He who was named River Flow was fated to suffer much. In the gate of Buddhism, merits are hard to come by as such. The monster took the Tang monk back to the entrance of the cave, where he withdrew the violent wind and said to the gatekeepers, "Report to the Great King that his tiger vanguard of the front line has captured a monk and now awaits order outside the gate." The cave master later forwarded a message, telling him, "Bring him inside." The tiger vanguard then tied his 2 broad swords made of red copper on his waist, lifting the Tang monk up with both hands. He came forward and prostrated, saying, "Great King, this humble officer has no talent. I was patrolling the mountains by your respected order when I suddenly came across a monk. He is Elder SanZang, also the royal younger brother of Great Tang in the land of the East. He is heading west to see Buddha and seek scriptures when he was captured by me and presented to your honor. May this serve as a humble meal." The cave master heard his words and was shocked. He said, "A while ago I heard people talk about this elder SanZang, who is a divine monk seeking scriptures by the imperial edict of Great Tang. He's also got a disciple under him named Sun Xingzhe, who is immensely powerful and intelligent. How did you manage to capture him?" The vanguard answered, "He's got 2 disciples. The one who came first used a 9-pronged rake. He has a long snout and large ears. The other uses a golden-hooped iron rod and has these fire eyes and golden pupils. They were charging ahead to have a fight with this humble officer when I used the trick of the golden cicada shedding its skin and got out of the situation. I was then able to snatch the monk and present him to you, Great King. May I respectfully offer him to you as a meal." The cave master answered, "Let's not eat him just yet." The vanguard said, "Great King, to not eat while food is available is quite the unruly move."
The cave master explained,
"You have no idea. It would be easy to eat him, but I fear his 2 disciples would come to our doors and make a fuss about it. That would be quite inconvenient, wouldn't it? Tie him up at the wind-settling pillar in the backyard and wait for a few days. If the 2 of them don't come to harass us, on one hand we'll be left with a body clean of waste, and on the other hand it would save us a lot of talking. We could then do whatever we please, couldn't we?" By then, be it boiled or steamed, fried or scrambled,
we could take our time to enjoy the meal and it wouldn't be too late.
The vanguard was overjoyed and said, The great king has great wisdom and foresight. You are exactly right. He then ordered, Little ones, take him away. 7 or 8 imps all rushed out from the sides and took the tongue monk away, firmly bound with ropes, like eagles snatching a sparrow. It was indeed missing Xingzhe was the ill-fated named river flow,
thinking of Wu Neng as the divine monk was caught in woe.
He cried, Disciples, I have no idea on which mountain you are capturing monsters or where you are subduing spirits, but I have been seized by a monster king and am suffering from ferocity. When will we see each other again? What misery! If you could come earlier, my life may still be saved. Should you come a moment too late, I will not come out alive. Lamenting as he sighed, his tears fell like raindrops. We now speak of Xingzhe and Bajie, who were just chasing the tiger off the hill. They saw the tiger run till it fell, collapsing flat on the cliff. Xingzhe raised his rod and hit it with all he had, only to have it rebound and sting his hands. Bajie, too, gave it a strike with his rake, and the prongs also bounced back up. It turned out to be a piece of tiger skin covering a tiger-shaped rock. Greatly startled, Xingzhe said, This is terrible, terrible. We fell into his trick. Bajie asked, What trick? Xingzhe explained, This is what we call the golden cicada shedding its skin. He left the tiger skin here while he himself got away.
Let's head back to check on Master and make sure he's not in bad hands.
The two hurriedly turned back, only to find SanZang long gone from the scene. Xingzhe let out a thunderous shout. What are we to do? They seized the master. Bajie then pulled the horse over and said in tears, Good heavens, where are we supposed to find him? Xingzhe jumped around and said, Don't cry. The moment you start crying, our morale gets crushed. He is bound to be somewhere in this mountain. Let's go look for him. The pair indeed made their way into the mountain, passing hills and valleys. After traveling for a long while, they found that, below a rocky cliff,
a cave residence emerged.
The two stopped to have a better look. It was indeed a formidable place. Look at it. Layers of sharp peaks, circling paths of the ancient days. Green trees leaned against each other as strange rocks and discreet birds dotted the scene.
Streams spilled over rocky walls as the slower currents trickled onto sandy land.
Animals thrived in their most active forms alongside plants dating thousands of years back. Xingzhe said, Dear younger brother, you may hide the luggage in the fold of the mountain where wind cannot reach, and graze the horse. But just don't make yourself seen. Let elder son head to their doors and have it out with them. We must capture the monster spirit before we can save our master. Bajie said, No need to give further instructions. Go at once. Xingzhe thereby tidied his shirt and girded his tiger skirt before swinging his rod all the way to the front gate. What he saw on the gate were 6 large characters. 黄风岭, 黄风洞, meaning Yellow Wind Ridge, Yellow Wind Cave. Pressing the heel of one foot against the other foot, he stood firmly and with the rod tightly in his hands, shouting loudly, Monster, send my master out this very moment, otherwise I will overturn your nest and flatten your residence. The little imps heard his words and were all frightened and shaking. They ran inside to report, Great King, there is big trouble. The yellow wind monster was in his seat and asked, What is the matter? The imps answered, Outside the cave entrance is a monk who has the mouth of a thunder god and a hairy face. He held an extremely large iron rod and was asking for his master. The cave master was astonished and called over the tiger vanguard to say, I order you to patrol the mountains. All you had to bring back were some wild oxen, boars, fat deer, or goats. Why did you seize the tongue monk instead? Now we have provoked his disciples to make a scene here. What are we to do?" The vanguard answered, "Great king, do calm yourself and stop worrying. This humble officer has got no talent, but I am willing to bring 50 imp soldiers out. We'll seize that Sun Xingzhe, or whatever he is called, and add him to our meal." The cave master said, "Apart from the senior and junior chiefs in here, I've still got 500 to 700 little soldiers. You are free to take whoever and however many you want. Only when we have captured that Xingzhe can we enjoy a piece of the monk's flesh in peace. I am even willing to become sworn brothers with you. But in case you can't take him down and are injured instead, don't you blame me." The tiger monster said, worry not, just let me head out." He indeed summoned 50 strong imps who beat drums and waved flags as he charged out of the door with his 2 red copper broadswords tied to his waist. In a loud voice he yelled, "Where did you monkey monk come from? What are you doing here making all this noise?" Xingzhe retorted, "You skin-stripping beast! You were the one who pulled off that skin-shedding trick and snatched my master away. What are you doing asking me questions? You had better send my master out as soon as possible so I can still spare your life." The tiger monster said, "I surely am the one who took your master and presented him as a snack for my great king. Have some sense and get out of here. Otherwise, we will just snatch you and add you to the meal. Wouldn't that be a case of buy one, get one free?" Xingzhe heard his words and felt a burning rage inside. Gritting were his steel-like teeth and swirling were the fires in his eyes. Raising his iron rod, he shouted, "What powers do you even have that you dare bluff like that? Don't you run! Watch my rod!" The vanguard quickly held up his swords in defense. It was indeed an ugly fight. Each showed off their powers, a splendid battle indeed. The monster was an actual goose egg, while Wukong was a stone in the shape of an egg. Having swords made of red copper to go against the handsome Monkey King was no different from piling up eggs to fight against stones. How can magpies and pigeons dare to fight against phoenixes and eagles? The monster may puff wind to fill the mountain with dust, but Wukong could breathe mist and send clouds to cover the sun. It barely took 5 rounds when the vanguard was weak at the waist and losing his strength. Turning around to flee in defeat, he was still pinned by Wukong with all his might. The tiger monster could not hold up, so he turned back to run. He had boasted in front of the cave master, so he dared not return to the cave and instead fled straight up the hill. There was no way Xingzhe would let him off, so he held the rod and chased on without a second thought. Shouting and yelling, the cries were non-stop. And soon they made it to the folds that were safe from wind. The monster looked up and saw Bajie grazing the horse right over there. Bajie only now caught the loud noises in his ears, so he turned around and saw the tiger monster being chased by Xingzhe. He then let go of the horse, raised his rake, and gave one side strike to the head. Poor vanguard, trying so hard to wriggle out of the net, only to turn around and come across the fisherman. With just one strike of the rake from Bajie, blood began spurting out from 9 holes as the monster's brains were soon drained dry. The fool stepped on the monster's spine before striking down again with both hands. Xingzhe saw him and said in delight, "Brother, it was indeed this thing." He came leading several dozen imps and dared to have it out with me, only to suffer defeat. However, he turned away from the cave and ran here to face death instead. I'm glad you took him on, otherwise he would have got away again. Bajie asked, "Was he the one who made the wind and snatched the master away?" Xingzhe said, "He certainly was, certainly so." Bajie said, "Did you ask him where our master is?" Xingzhe said, "This monster took our master into their cave and presented him as snack to some prick of a great king. I got mad and fought him all the way to this place, only for you to finish him. Brother, the feat is yours. Do keep an eye on the horse and luggage. Let me drag this dead monster back and ask for battle again at the cave entrance. We've got to get the old monster before we can save Master. 八戒 said, You are exactly right, elder brother. Go ahead now. Once you have defeated the old monster, you can once again chase him here so Old Bull can intercept and kill him. Splendid, 行者. With one hand holding the iron rod and the other the dead tiger, he made his way straight back to the cave entrance. It was indeed. Encountering monsters, the elder fell into danger. By reaching harmony in emotion and nature, vile demons will be tamed. We do not know if they can subdue the monster and save the tongue monkey in the end. Please wait until the next chapter.